Hello, welcome to Mathematics 6th grade Tsol math class. It's an inclusion class which means we have 15 ESOL students and about 10 regular ed students. So we are teaching a lesson on a unit on writing equivalent expressions. And this is the first day, so we're going to first start off with vocabulary. Before I actually start the vocabulary lesson, I want to touch on a little bit of the standards. The standards are expressions and equations, apply and extend previous understanding of arithmetic to algebraic expressions, identify when two expressions are equivalent, when the two expressions name the same number regardless of which value is substituted into them. For example, the expressions y plus y and 3y are equivalent because they name the same number regardless of which number y stands for. The ESOL objective is level 3, developing compare choices based on rate calculations in real life situations using graphic organizers with a partner. The materials that I will be using with this lesson are a graphic organizer. If I was in an actual real-life class, I probably would also have my LCD projector available, and I have certain things that I will put on the slide. The objective today is students will learn how to develop mathematical terms that are used that's needed in order to be able to identify equivalent fractions and to just really understand what equivalent fractions are. The first word that I want to start off with, well, before I actually will start off with the word, I will give each student a graphic organizer. They will write their name on it. I will also display the graphic organizer, and I would explain what the graphic organizer, the components are. Now, this particular graphic organizer, I created myself. As you can see, this would represent the board that I would be using. The graphic organizer will have word, the section for the word. It will have the section for the meaning. And then it'll have a section for keywords and drawings or pictures that the student will want to relate to that word. Now, I will actually give them the words. I will pass them out a handout sheet with the words already on it. And I will have those posted also on the board. The first word that I want to talk about is the distributive property. The distributive property lets you multiply a sum by multiplying each addiant separately and then add the products. I will first go over and have each student to repeat the word distributive property. Then I will ask them, what do you think distributive property means? And I probably would have done that prior to or before I actually showed this. Then we will read it together. The distributive property class lets you multiply a sum by multiplying each addiant separately and then add the products. That's what the distributive property means. So the student would then write they would write this word in their graphic organizer. Now, I would also have these students sitting in pairs, and they will be working together with another student. What those two students will do together, they each will have their own graphic organizer, but I would want them to also share one together. And what they would do first is they would write the word distributive property on their graphic organizer. And then they would write the meaning of that word. Now, I would probably model a couple of these together. So we would say distributive property lets you multiply. I would underline multiply because that's a key word. So we would multiply. We would circle multiply. A sum, we would circle that. Then we would, it says each adient. We would talk about what an adient is. And I would have each class to say adient. Adient. What does the word adient? Adient. Make sure to repeat that. Adient. And then we would circle the word adient separately and then add the products. Then we would talk about what is products. So I would have them to write these keywords in the keyword spot. They would write multiply. They would write sum. They would write the word adient. And then they would write the word product. Then we would talk about what does this look like? What does a multiply? Because in math, as we all know, math has symbols with them. Math is a language within itself. So in math, you have symbols. So what symbol would represent multiply? Multiply. And then I would probably do some stimulation or some role playing and say this. X right here with you. Everybody put up their hand. X. This indicates multiplication by an X. Then we will talk about sum. Sum. What symbol will represent sum? And then we would also use a symbol with our hands, and we'll represent the hand sum, which means that sum is a plus symbol. A plus symbol. Then adient. Adients are basically numbers, like the number 1, the number 2, the number 3. So we would write a number there in order to know that that means adient. And then products. I would just simply tell them that products is the answer in multiplication. Now, the next thing, class, that I'm going to show you are examples. These examples are, we're going to use the distributive property to figure out the answer in of these two expressions. Now, we haven't discussed the word expressions, but we'll come back to the word expressions after we've applied the word distributive property to these examples. Then we're going to come back and label the problem itself. So I would tell them each student would open up their journals. I would say, class, would you please open up your mathematical journals? They would open up their mathematical journals, and then in their mathematical journals, they would write down the two examples. 5, parentheses, 6 plus 2, parentheses close. Then they will write down the problem. Well, I'll just have them to write the first problem now. And so then I would tell them, write an arrow. And then you would write 5, because that parentheses tells you to multiply. So you will write 5 times, this dot represents multiplication, 6 plus 5 times the multiplication, product adient 2. So then you would do 5 times 6, which is 30, plus 5 times 2, which is 10. And then you would add these two together. You see the plus symbol? The dot represents the multiplication. I would probably simply, before using a dot, I would use the multiplication symbol. And so that would be 30 plus 10, which gives you 40. So the answer would be 40. Then we would go back and understand that the purpose of the distributive property is to distribute this 5 into everything inside the parentheses. So it's just like having one person that's going to shake each person's hand inside of the parentheses. Okay? And then I probably would have them, class would stand up, and they would, one person, I would have 2 people to stand together, and then I would have that person to go shake that person's hand. That's a multiplication. Then shake that person's hand, that's another multiplication. When you add those together, when you put those two together, you come up with one thing. Okay? Then I will have them to write down number 2 problem, which is 4 parentheses 7 plus 4 parentheses 7 plus 2 plus 3 parentheses closed. So now I will have them to work together as a partner. I will give them a couple of minutes to see how they will set this problem up, and I will go around and monitor. So I'll give us a second to do that. Okay, class, I noticed that some of you all did okay setting the problem up, but let's see how we will go about setting this problem up. Okay, we're going to do 4 times 7 plus 4 times 2 plus 4 times 3. Okay? Now, we know that 4 times 7 is 28, plus 4 times 2 is 8, plus 4 times 3 is 12. Then we would add 28 plus 8, which would give us 36. Then we would write 36 plus 12. Then 36 plus 12 will give us 36 plus 12, which will give us 8. And then 3 plus 1 will give us 48. So the answer will be 48. Okay? Then we will go back, and again, we know that the 4 is shaking the hand of the 7, which is multiplying. The 4 is also shaking the hand of the 2, which is multiplying. And the 4 is also shaking the hand of the 3, which is multiplying. Okay. Then I will begin to go over the next set of words, which would be equivalent expression. And the equivalent expression is mathematical expressions that are the same. So we will circle mathematical. That would be a key word. Expressions. And then same. So these would be the 3 key words that we would discuss. Now, I would ask them mathematical. What's the short word for mathematical? Which simply means math. So we would just probably write down the word, short version word, math. Then we'll talk about expressions. What are expressions? Okay, what do you think expressions are? Expressions are, if you think about smiling, smiling is an expression. Frowning is an expression. Those are communication type of expressions. But these type of expressions that we're discussing today are mathematical expressions. So what do you think that means? Hopefully, someone would say it would use numbers in order to express numbers and to express numbers. So hopefully, someone would say that in the group. So then I would say same. So that means that if we have one mathematical expression on one side of the equal sign, and I will write the word equal, sound like this, then we got another expression. That means that those two are the same. So it's like looking in a mirror. And I probably would draw a big symbol that indicates mirror, and I will write the word mirror. So whatever you have on this side of the mirror, you have on the other side. And so then we would go on and discuss that. And I will give them some examples of that. And then I would then probably have them to open up their books after they've completed their graphic